ഹമാസിനും ഹിസ്ബുള്ളയ്ക്കുമെതിരെ ഇസ്രായേൽ തുടക്കമിട്ട നേർക്കുനേർ പോരാട്ടം ഒടുവിൽ ഇറാനുമായിട്ടുള്ള ഏറ്റുമുട്ടലിലേക്ക് വഴി തുറന്നിരിക്കുകയാണ്. ഇസ്രായേലിന്റെ തലസ്ഥാനമായ ടെൽ അവീവിലേക്ക് കഴിഞ്ഞ ദിവസം ഇറാൻ നടത്തിയ ബാലിസ്റ്റിക് മിസൈൽ ആക്രമണത്തിന് ഇസ്രായേലിന്റെ ഭാഗത്ത് നിന്ന് എന്ത് തരത്തിലുള്ള തിരിച്ചടിയാകും ഉണ്ടാവുകയെന്ന ആകാംക്ഷയിലാണ് ലോകരാഷ്ട്രങ്ങൾ. ഈ അവസരത്തിൽ നിലപാട് വ്യക്തമാക്കി ദക്ഷിണേന്ത്യയുടെ ചുമതലയുള്ള കോൺസുലേറ്റ് ജനറൽ, ഇസ്രായേൽ കോൺസുലേറ്റ് ജനറൽ മിസ് ഓർലി വൈറ്റ്സ്മാൻ ന്യൂസ് 18നോടൊപ്പം ചേരുന്നു. വെൽക്കം മാഡം.
Thank you.
Your response has national significance right now. You held various key positions in the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs. In the midst of this escalating war-like situation in Middle East, I have compelled to begin from there itself. Even though the IDF has anticipated such an attack from Iran, but an immediate retaliation has never been expected by anyone. Am I correct, madam?
So Israel was basically, since the 7th of October, I think that was the beginning of all this war right now, which was a horrible, horrible massacre done by Hamas, entering villages, entering homes, murdering babies, raping women. And this began almost a year ago now. And following this, 8th of October, there was also Hezbollah started firing rockets on its own accord, unprovoked, at the northern borders of Israel. Now we have to remember that during these attacks are done by very vicious terrorist groups, but they're all puppeteered by Iran. Iran is one of the key players in this region in terms of what anything to do with terror. Iran has publicly said that it wants to destroy Israel. That's its mission, and it's doing everything it can, both directly, as we saw last night, and indirectly via its proxies in the area. And then that's what we're dealing with, basically. So we I think to say unanticipated might not be correct, because we have been experiencing Iran's terrorism since the 70s or 80s, and they're doing it basically by proxies that they have built up around the area, or directly even. So I think Israel expects, and Israel can deal and handle any kind of attack that is thrown its way, because Israel will do anything necessary to make sure that Israeli citizens are safe.
The whole world is concerned about the response of Israel, how Israel will react to yesterday's Iran's retaliation towards Tel Aviv. Is there any immediate chance for that?
I think that now Israel is again, it's not something that we can discuss here on television or anything, but Israel is of course going to do what needs to do in order to make sure that citizens safe, not in the immediately, and also in the long run. So we have to remember that we're not talking about a single event. It's not just last night. Last night was a horrible attack that basically demonstrated how Iran indiscriminately wants to hurt Israelis, civilians, non-civilians. They don't discriminate between them, and they do anything they can just to cause destruction. But this was last night was just one event out of many that have been happening for years and years. Israel has to make sure, first of all, that events like last night never repeat themselves, but also to make sure that the safety of the region and the safety of Israel is secure also in the long run. And that's what Israel is now that will be the considerations for Israel when thinking of how to react to last night's attack.
One more thing added to that, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and all other world organizations are urging for a ceasefire. Is there any chance for that thing right now?
So really it depends. I would ask that. I would ask Iran about that, because Israel has never had an issue with any of the countries around. Israel's aim since 1948 is to live peacefully in its land. But unfortunately, we've been attacked time and time again by different terrorist organizations and Iran all throughout this time. And so I think if Iran, and other terrorist organizations were willing to put down their weapons, to accept Israel's right to exist, and on a more immediate level, if I want to talk about a more immediate solution for Hezbollah to implement the 1701 UN resolution, then there can be negotiations to stop. But as long as Israel is still threatened, there can't be any solution.
Whether the borders of Israel are safe enough to face this threat from Iran?
The borders of Israel are safe because Israel has prioritized the safety of its citizens. So money and all kinds of other works and everything were done in order to develop defensive systems that would try and defend Israeli citizens, because Israel, as opposed to Hezbollah and Hamas, who very clearly use their people as human shields, Israel's priority is to keep its people safe. So the safety becomes because that was Israel's priority, and Israel invested in that time, money, and manpower in order to create technology that would protect its citizens. But still, the threats are still out there.
Okay, according to Israel, assassination of Hezbollah leaders is a path of vanishing world terrorism. Rather than that, is it a plan to provoke Iranian government with the support of US?
So the reason that Israel had to kill Hassan Nasrallah is because he was the head of the Hezbollah, and his line of action was to try and attack Israel in every way possible. Israel would, again, and I can't stress this point enough. Israel does what it does in order to keep its citizens safe. Then we want our aim in the end is to live peacefully with neighbors that accept our existence and don't threaten us and don't fire rockets at us almost on a daily basis for years and years. So once there's a leader that doesn't agree with that and does everything that it can in order to threaten us and to make us, and think about it, people have left their homes, tens of thousands of Israelis have had to relocate from their borders in the north because it was too dangerous to live there. That no country can accept that kind of situation. So if killing Hassan Nasrallah is a way to eliminate that, then it's a terrorist that has to be eliminated in order for innocent civilians to be able to live in their homes.
From Hassan Nasrallah to Nabil Kauki, Hezbollah has lost more than 7 top leaders in last 1 week. Is it a long-term plan for this sophisticated attack?
I think it's a plan just to make sure, like I said, it's a plan to make sure that the leaders of Hezbollah don't pose a threat to Israel. And Hezbollah is posing a threat to Israel. It's not only posing a threat to Israel, by the way, it's posing a threat by putting missiles in homes of civilians in South Lebanon. So when Israel had to clear the threat to eliminate the weapons there, they had to let all the people from South Lebanon, ask them to leave. They called them, they sent them flyers and asked them to leave their homes that had weapons in them. That's just to demonstrate how these Hezbollah leaders use their own people as human shields and don't care about threatening their own lives. So these people, when being eliminated, is not only good for Israelis, but also good for other people in Lebanon itself and other peoples around the world who are hurt by these actions.
Okay, one more thing, madam. How can you hit the terrorist Orli without making life threat to thousands of children and women who have already become refugees there?
So Israel does, as I said, Israel does the most that it can in order to try and hurt as least as possible civilians, as opposed to Iranian attacks that target civilians, like last night, the indiscriminate firing. Israel does what it can to make sure that civilians are also, there are flyers, like I said, flyers being given out, phone calls made, all the areas that we know that there are civilians who are engulfed with weapons of a terrorist organization. Israel does what it can. But I think the world should be asking, how is it allowed how are terrorist organizations allowed to exist and use their population like that? Why isn't the world trying to fight that?
Okay, did Israel start the fight against Hezbollah by securing the full support of the United States of America?
Israel did not start any fight. The fight started on the 7th of October when Hamas infiltrated Israel, raped women, killed children, kidnapped, people were still kidnapped and still hostages, and Hezbollah the next day, on its own accord, without being provoked, fired rockets into Israel. So Israel did not provoke any war. Israel reacted to the war in order to defend itself.
If it leads to a direct war between Israel and Iran, then do you think that the US will take the role of the forefront fighters for Jews?
You'll have to speak to the US about that. I don't represent the US, and you'll have to get the answers from there. But US and Israel are very good allies, and I think we'll keep being very good allies in the future.
Okay, embassies of various nations wants the citizens and staff to shelter in safe zones. Concerns are bigger than the existing war-like situation. What is the assurance of Israel to Indian citizens in your nation?
So Indian citizens in our nation are safe because, like I said, Israel has invested a lot of money and effort and time and manpower in order to develop defense systems. These defense systems do not discriminate against people. They defend all people. Indian citizens living in Israel are treated just as Israeli citizens are. They all have access to safe rooms if needed, and they all get the same instructions as Israelis do. Like last night when there was instruction to stay in the safe room, and there's no discrimination between Israeli citizens, Indian citizens, or other citizens of the world. Everybody living in Israel is taken care of by the Israeli army and the Israeli defense systems.
We want to know one more thing regarding this attack. How is the functioning of this anti-missile defense system existing there right now?
Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
How is the functioning of the anti-missile defense system existing in the borders of Israel?
How it functions? It functions, but they're different. Again, I can't get into the physics of it because I don't understand it myself. It's very genius systems that have been developed for years, and they have the way of identifying the threats and being able to try and eliminate them in the air. It's not 100% foolproof, but it is a very good defense. But still, it's not an alternative to peace, which is what Israel's main goal is, to try and eliminate threats by diplomatic means and trying to live in a situation where we have peace in the regions and countries around us accept our right to exist and they respect it and don't fire rockets at us to begin with.
Okay, rather than this United States, from which all the nations supporting the cause of Israel?
Sorry?
Rather than United States, from which nations you are getting blatant support?
We're getting support from, I think, most of the Western world understands, and also others. And I think India is a good example of being a good ally to Israel. There are many allies Israel has, and many understand the concerns that Israel has and the threats that Israel faces, and support Israel's right to defend itself.
Do you believe that India will support the cause for Israel right now?
I believe that Israel and India are very good allies, and I know that there are dialogues going on between our leaders, and I hope this will continue in the future.
For the last couple of decades, that relation was like that. But right now, India urges for a ceasefire. They are giving value to the lives of everyone, women, children, and everyone.
Israel also gives. First of all, that's a very important point, and I think rightfully so. And Israel also gives a lot of value for the life of civilians and innocent civilians. And like I said, the way to stop civilians getting hurt. Okay, first of all, civilians in Israel also are suffering, but civilians on the other side as well. To stop civilians getting hurt, what has to happen is that terrorist groups are not allowed to use their people as human shields. If leaders around the world want to stop innocent civilians getting hurt, they have to stop Iran using the puppeteer, using their puppets, their proxies around the Middle East, which really they have no problem using their own people as shields, and they even sometimes do it purposefully because the pictures look good. Okay, they get more support because they get pictures that get them support. So for them, it's a price worth paying. As long as these organizations are allowed to still exist and are allowed to use their own people as human shields, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem to stop innocent people getting hurt. Hamas and Hezbollah and mostly Iran have to be stopped and have to be pushed to make some peace and to accept Israel's right to exist.
Okay, then hundreds of ballistic missiles came towards Tel Aviv, the financial backbone of Israel. Is it affects the economic activities of the nation in any way?
Has it affected the nation? Well, of course. I mean, last night was it was a scary night. I personally have a daughter living in Tel Aviv, and she's a very young girl. She's only about 18, and she was with me on the phone. She was crying. She was sitting in the safe room and very scared. And I think most of her peers were scared. It's not a nice thing to be attacked by missiles. I mean, luckily we have a strong army. Luckily we have defense systems that we know will protect us. But this has to stop. It's not a way for anybody to live.
Okay, then considering the latest census, around 10 million in the nation's population, 73.6% of the total population is Jews. Rest is other ethnic groups, including more than 20 lakh Arabs. Whether they are safe enough to continue there.
Of course, they're safe enough. They're part of Israel. Arab citizens of Israel are just like me. They're citizens of Israel. My colleagues some of my colleagues are Arab at the foreign ministry. Some of the ambassadors are Arab. Some of the judges in Israel are Arab. They're part of the society, and they're, of course, they are just as in the same situation as Jews. It doesn't make any difference. Jews and Arabs, Israeli citizens, Jews and Muslims, or Christians, Israeli citizens, are all the same. They're all citizens of Israel, and they all need to be protected by aggressors like Iran.
Okay, is it affects the pilgrim tourism in any grounds?
So it has affected the tourism. Unfortunately, it's hard now to get to Israel because flights sometimes are stopped, and it's more expensive, and people sometimes don't want to come during war. So yes, it has been affected, but I know Israel is a strong country, and Israel has a history of dealing with difficult periods and then reestablishing itself. We're very innovative people. We have ways of dealing with situations, and we don't let the hard times put us down. So for now, yes, there has been, but I'm sure that once we find a solution, that the tourism and pilgrimage will come again, because I think it's such an important place for so many people around the world, and I really hope anybody who wants to can go there soon and enjoy the places that they want to see.
Okay, as the Consulate General of Israel for South India, a large number of people are visiting Israel. They are planning to visit Israel. Already, many of them are existing in, right now living in Israel. So many people are telling that there is no direct flight facility from Israel to India. Is there any possibility for that in the immediate future?
Yes, we're hoping very much that direct flights will restart again. We're in discussion with the various airlines and that. I have no news, specific date or anything, but we're very much hoping that soon they will restart again the direct flights from Israel to India.
Okay, then especially from South India, number of people migrating to Israel is increasing tremendously for seeking better job options. What is the message that you have conveyed to the aspirants from South India?
So I think that the people who are looking for to go to Israel for any reason, they can contact the consulate. We can get more information both about working in Israel and also about visiting Israel. And we'll be happy to assist with anything that people are looking for or need. And if anybody wants to learn more about Israel, if people want to educate themselves more about what's happening in the region, to understand the Israeli perspective, or just to hear a little bit more and see some more pictures, please feel free. We have an email that they can look on our website and contact us, and we will be happy to give more information.
Okay, and one more last question. When coming to this right now confusing situation, that threatening situation, what is the future? What is the future of this right now escalating war-like situation? What will be the reaction of Israel?
So again, I can't tell you for sure. We started with that at the beginning. The reaction of Israel will take into account Israel's needs for security, both in the immediate future and in the long-term future, and that's what's going to happen. And I can't discuss it more than that.
Okay, that means that Israel will withdraw from a reaction. We can hope like so.
I didn't say that. I said that Israel will do what it has to do in order to make sure that there's peace, that there's safety in the immediate future and in the long-term future. What the reaction will be is for us to wait and see.
Okay, it's like that. Okay, then it's an auspicious occasion for us to talk with you in this significant moment. Thank you for joining with us, Madam.
Thank you very much. Thank you.